they have 5. They have 6. No, I don't know about that. Student honor roll. They did this before.
Good evening. Good evening. Welcome to the Board of Trustees meeting for October. I'll call the meeting to order at 7:05 p.m. As with a lot of changes that are happening here at Philadelphia Academy School with the board, we are going to institute at each and every meeting a Pledge of Allegiance. So if I could ask everybody to stand, the American flag is to my right, and we're going to do the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge allegiance to the flag
of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you. I'm going to ask Doris Nielsen to call the roll.
Anthony Boyle. Mary Deisler. George McClyde. John McGrady.
Present.
Doris Nielsen, present. Robert Sullivan.
The board met in executive session tonight from about 5:25 until just before walking in here. Additionally, the board has formed several committees. The Finance Committee has met numerous times between tonight's meeting and the preceding meeting we had. And we also formed a Policy and Procedure Committee, and that met for the first time last week. At this time, I'm going to turn over the microphone to Ernie Bradstrom. We have some recognition and some things to celebrate here at Philadelphia Academy Charter School tonight. Ernie?
Good evening, everyone. And first of all, on behalf of the board, we are very appreciative of this turnout. We really like to have an audience when we give our work sessions and actions in a public eye. One of the things that we really want to do is acknowledge and recognize those people who in the district work very hard and very sincerely at what they do. If you recall, last month we had the opportunity to recognize some high school students on their achievements. Tonight, the first thing we'd like to do is recognize some of our elementary school students. Okay, so there are 9, I think, that will be recognized. Melissa, would you come forward, and John, maybe come around the table.
Good evening, everyone. We're starting a Student of the Month initiative at the grade school this year. And we are using, each month, we are using a attribute from the grade school PAX Pledge, as well as from the high school Charger Creed. So for the month of September, we are recognizing students for exemplary participation in school. So I'd like to welcome up here Megan Riley from kindergarten. Burdell. In second grade, Mary Kate Levy. In third grade, we have Nino Gamboshidze. In fourth grade, we have Cassia Abraham. Fifth grade, Samuel Zimmerman. Sixth grade, Alexandria McLaughlin. Seventh grade, Katie Niebauer. And in eighth grade, Joseph Engart. Thank you so much for your participation this month. And thank you, moms and dads and aunts and uncles and families for coming. Thank you.
Okay, now isn't that fun? It's kind of nice, doing that, recognizing our students. And I have to tell you, having the opportunity to walk around the hallways every once in a while and go into classrooms, I have never, or I've yet to had a time where I was not impressed. And I really, really appreciate that. So parents, if you're here, really congratulations, and you should be very proud. I know your teachers are. We have experienced something that was very special last year. Okay, it was the 15th anniversary of this school, Philadelphia Academy. And if anyone knows what it's like to begin from the ground, an association with an organization, any kind of entity, if you are a founding member of a church, if you are a founding or charter member of a school system, or if you're in the Navy and you're christening a brand new ship, you realize and you recognize that you don't know what the future holds. You don't know if it's going to survive, if it's going to continue to exist, if it's going to expand, if it's going to grow, or if it's going to sink. We are a testament, Philadelphia Academy Charter School is a testament to the hard work, perseverance, and tenacity of a founding group of faculty members and staff who saw a vision. They understood what the mission was for the school and they wanted to be part of it. They recognized that they were going to have to do a lot of things outside their job description. Nobody really understood that very last item and all other duties. Well, they all wore multiple hats. And think about it for a second. We are in 2 locations. We have over 1,200 students, 190 faculty and staff, all kinds of parents and stakeholders involved in this entity. It's a $17 million budget and quite a bit of assets. You just look around here. All that started from nothing. Nothing. When Philadelphia Academy started, it was in the infancy, beginning of charter schools, the charter school movement. Educators weren't sure what this whole process was, what it was all about. These people had a sense of vision, they had a sense of commitment, and they wanted to be part of what they believed was going to be something very, very exciting in their future. We're very fortunate to have 25 faculty and staff members who have been here from the beginning, founding members of the school, okay? Founding faculty and staff members who we consider charter members. They will always have that. They will always have the memories of what it was like the first day of school for the whole school system. That's a little unusual, that's somewhat unique. This time we are going to recognize those 25 faculty members. Mary, come on here. Flowers.
Kathy Adams. Darlene Allison.
Mary Bogan. Lisa Brody. Marita Clark. Sheila DeLeo. Marnie Doherty. Linda Jaffe. Mary Jocelyn. Betty Kansky. Courtney Kilgallen. Phyllis Markoff. Janice McVan. Diane Mooney. Bridget Patterson. Joyce Podell. Karen Seaman. Anne-Marie Sigmund. John Sonari. Karen Spock. Pat Stasek. Shelby Solomon, Cindy Venziano, Kathy Wagner, and Bernice Wright.
Thank you very much.
It occurs to us that we did not read the citation, so I'll read the citation publicly. Philadelphia Academy Charter School presented to all of you fine folks here, thank you. In appreciation for your dedication and devotion to the principles and ideals of our mission, your extraordinary 15 years of service and commitment is gratefully appreciated. Outstanding Achievement Award dated this 16th day of October, 2014. If I can just follow up on what Ernie stated, it's what these people did 15 years ago to go into the unknown, to take a chance with their lives and their families to better and create what has been created here today is absolutely amazing. And at this time, I'd like to ask Mrs. Brody to come up to speak on behalf of everybody assembled up here. Thank you, Mrs. Brody.
Okay, so 15 years is a long time, so I need my notes, okay? Thank you, Ernie, thank you, John, and all the members of the school board. I'm honored to be here tonight to talk on behalf of all these wonderful people, my friends here at PAX. It's kind of hard to believe that it's been 15 years, but I've asked these friends of mine to help me to remember some things that have happened along the way, so I want to share some of those things with you. As Ernie talked about earlier, when we were starting out in 1999, we were running into people that were saying things like, what the heck is a charter school? So even if you weren't part of the crew, this crew, you still probably remember back then that people didn't even know what charter schools actually were. So they followed that up with, so do parents have to pay tuition to get their kids in there? And do you work for the school district? And probably most importantly, how do we get in? So at that time, uncertainty was over and above everything else. We were on the ground floor of something brand new and we knew it. I would describe it as scary, risky, exciting, and challenging. The faculty, our faculty left jobs that they were comfortable in and they were doing well in. Our parents took their kids out of schools that they were comfortable with. Our students came to school at 8 o'clock and they stayed till 4 p.m. They studied Chinese during the school day. They learned that character counts. They did homework during that 3 o'clock responsibility hour. But we all shared in the belief that education could be better and we were charting a course to prove it. And of course, we all knew that there were many haters out there just waiting for us to fail. But we didn't fail. We were a top-notch crew of new hires who shared the same vision. We wanted our students, all of our students, to grow and be successful. We wanted this school to be held up above all the rest, to be seen as the #1 school of choice. We were organized in such a way that we couldn't help but succeed. We'd experienced lead teachers in every grade who supported the brand new teachers like myself. We literally met every day as a grade group to discuss our students and to get to understand them better and to come up with ideas, suggestions on how we could help them improve and get them excited about learning. Once a week, we met with our community groups to expand beyond the grade group to get ideas from everyone in our community. We were able to do this because Brian and Candy at the time instilled in us a sense of duty to really understand our students and challenged us to put our heads together to find ways to help them make progress. They built this time into our rosters because they saw it as non-negotiable. We were charged with working together to make a difference. It was an expectation of the job, not a suggestion. And we worked so well together, it was almost a utopia. We came in at 7 and we left at 5 or 6. We were in on the weekends. And as my colleagues reminded me, we were happy. No one complained. To quote Marnie Doherty, we were positive, enthusiastic, and supportive. We were proud to be working together. We shared the same vision to reach every student by identifying challenges, introducing solutions, and implementing ideas. And most importantly, we were empowered to do so because we had the support we needed all the way to the top. We did indeed become one of the best. Many things have changed at PAX, but our commitment to our students never wavered. We remained focused on why we opened in 1999, why we decided to go into teaching, why we continue to do what we do so well, and never give up the vision to see our students succeed. Their success is our success and vice versa. Before I close, I just want to share with you some of the fondest memories my friends have shared with me. In particular, I remember in the summer of '99 going into Marilyn Blanchio's house, and if you can picture this, there was nothing but crate upon crate upon crate of student records. And Mary and Joyce were in there sorting through all those records, trying to get grade books together, and it seemed like there were about 100 other volunteers in that house. It was like a swinging door. We remember walking into our construction site / building in August where the walls weren't even up in the classrooms, some of them. But then going back in September, and not only were the walls up, but the whiteboards were hung, the desks were put together, the chairs were put together, and that was because of the commitment of our parents and students at that time, because the parents all rallied together, came in, and they were, with screwdrivers, putting our desks together for us. And so we opened, and it was great. We remember before we opened, I think most of us remember, we had a barbecue in the parking lot for the entire school. I don't remember how many grills we had out there flipping burgers, and just coolers upon coolers of juices and whatever. It was a great time. We had before this, meet the teachers night at Rosewood Caterers, and I'm not even sure if that's still there, but it kind of was like this.
It's not there.
It was like we felt the teachers were sitting at the bridal table, because that's what it was, as all the parents came into this hall, and it was jam-packed, this room, as we were all introduced to the parents for the first time. And remember that first day of school and the long line of cars dropping kids off, because at that time we did not have any buses, so everybody was in car line. Imagine that, coming and going. And then on that note, on the day that we got our first school bus with our name on the side, it was like that feeling that you got when you bought your very first brand new car. It was all yours. That's how we felt with the Philadelphia Academy Charter School on the side of the bus. I remember Annie, the play, our first play. It was phenomenal. And Kathy Wagner every year puts on one great play after another, but I don't think she can ever repeat that one. We had as many faculty members in there as we did in students. And we even had parents, I believe, in the play at that time, correct? Even parents. So in our mind, it was a Broadway production. It was phenomenal. So, Charter School Week. Charter School Week lasted the entire week. There were song and dance numbers that were put on from every grade the kids were involved in. Invitations went out, and politicians and board members all showed up. There were carnival games, sports games, dunk tanks, pie eating contests, cotton candy, prizes, goldfish, and little bowls. It was crazy. The kids were crazy, but it was fun. And who remembers Mary Jocelyn going to McDonald's and bringing back hundreds of burgers? Hundreds. And Mary tells me that she also would go to the deli once a week and pick up ham and cheese sandwiches by the hundreds and bring them back to school.
That was our lunch program.
That was our lunch program. That was our lunch program. And I'm going to opt out of talking about our happy hours. So thank you for sharing with me your memories that I can share with our members. We had a great time just even thinking about it, so I thank you for even giving us this opportunity to reminisce. It was a lot of fun. And finally, let me say to all of our current parents, board members, faculty, and staff, thank you very much for everything you continue to do to make us all proud to be part of this wonderful institution. Let's continue to do what we do so well. Thank you very much.
Again, thank you. Okay, if you could back up, they want to take a picture. I'm sorry, it's like Simon said.
Might need 2 rows there. Short people. Stagger a little. There you go.
Again, thank you very much. Before we move into the agenda, the students from our Culinary Arts program are here tonight serving some food, and we appreciate everything they've done for us, and thank you very much. At this time, I'm going to ask for the CEO, Ernie Bradstrom, to give the CEO report.
Yes, good evening, everyone. I'm going to keep this somewhat brief. There's just 3 items I wanted to mention to the public and to the board. The first is that we have put into place now a written administrative report that comes out on a monthly basis. So the report is online. You can look at that as well. It comes from our department heads, and it summarizes also their progress towards certain objectives as well as certain census information. It's always a month behind, so today's, or October 16th report reflects the month of September, okay? Again, that's online. Carl, what is that? How do they click onto the website through here?
Our wireless?
Yes.
The wireless, yes, is up now. Username to the board and password to me.
Okay, so if anybody's walking around with a computer right now, you can open it up and see that. The second item, you'll notice that the board, we're tweaking and finessing our role as a governing board, and part of that process is formalizing the agenda, the minutes, and resolution process. One of the things that we're also working on is a resource manual for each board member. The board members will go through a training, and that training includes professional ethic behavior, law and code, budgeting process, governing issues as it relates to Robert's Rules of Orders, and so on and so forth. And we're hoping to have in the future a work session retreat to really get into detail some aspects of the governing process of a charter school. So this is something that we're putting together for the governing board. The third item is talking about a leadership retreat. Right now, I meet on a bi-weekly basis with members of our leadership team. I'm going to expand that to include our Dean of Students and our special ed coordinators, so that we can get together and start tweaking and finessing this whole concept that I presented last month, Goal 2020, which is a blue ribbon school for blue ribbon students. And that's putting into place a sense of vision for the school for the future. And we're going to sit down with that off-site and start brainstorming in terms of how we'll have that action plan look. what we're doing is we want it to go from the ground up. Okay, so there'll be a mind meld, the governing board to the people in the trenches, our practitioners, and we'll have this plan put together so that hopefully by the year 2020, we will be a Blue Ribbon School. Okay, so that's what that's all about. Okay, that's it for me.
Thank you. Principal report, Mrs. Cindy, Vice Principal.
Just two things for the high school. Next week, we are going to be having an awareness week at the high school. On Monday, we'll be highlighting breast cancer awareness, and our students will be participating in various activities, as well as they are permitted to wear pink tops with their uniform pants. On Wednesday, we are participating nationally with schools across the country for Unity Day, and this is a day specifically set aside to bring awareness to bullying and the importance of schools being a safe zone and a bully-free zone. Children are, again, going to be participating in various events and are allowed to wear orange with their uniforms and pants. And finally, on Friday, we are highlighting lupus awareness, and our students will be participating, again, with students across the country by wearing purple. And then the second item that I wanted to highlight is, I mentioned the blood drive. Our fall blood drive produced 50 pints of blood that we hosted, and this was enough to help 150 patients in our area. So we just want to give a sincere thank you to all those that donated, and please look for our spring blood drive, which will be coming up, and we are always welcoming donations. So thank you very much.
Can I just say something about the students who gave out the smoothies? Those students who gave out the smoothies are actually from our transition program. They run a business every week. They sell smoothies in the cafeteria here. At the grade school, we have a coffee shop that does the same thing. Those students, I just want to mention their names. It was Joseph Steinmetz, a brand new freshman, Billy Devlin. They went to clean up, so I feel bad, but Billy Devlin and Kelsey Greenwald. And this whole thing is the brainchild of the transition team, who would be Dion Geiteman, Donna Steele, and Trish Felix. Trish actually saved that, found the big bar they have, recycled it, brought it in. The kids sell the smoothies every week. They're immensely popular, and the kids are learning money skills, social skills, how to take care of a job and how to function in a job situation by running this small business. So they were here. I hope you enjoyed your samples tonight. We just want to brag about how great our kids are. So.
Yes, just a few brief items. Our soccer team won the playoff game today. It was a very challenging game against Maritime Academy Charter School, and they will be playing in the championship next Tuesday. So I wanted to recognize those wonderful athletes. The grade school will also be celebrating Unity Day, but due to Picture Day on the 22nd, we have moved our Unity Day where the students are wearing orange. It is Orange You All Against Bullying Day at the grade school on the 29th. And we also want to thank all of our parents for supporting the Cherrydale sale. The final tallies are not up yet, but we raised over $10,000 for the student activity fund. So thank you for your participation in that fundraiser.
Thank you. As to the financial report, Mike Thompson is here from Centillion Thompson. I'm going to flip it over to him in a minute. The Finance Committee, as I stated previously at the last couple of board meetings, we've been dealt a hand that's really tough to deal with from both the state and the local, and our funding has been cut significantly. And if you look in the minutes, last month we had an item on the agenda regarding tabling regarding freezes for salaries, and that was tabled at last month's session. And we are still working on that process through the committee, and we'll report back to you on that. And with that, I'd like to turn it over to Mike.
Thank you. Total cash on hand at the end of September was approximately $8.7 million. We have about $720,000 receivables. The only revenue coming in at this time of the year is from the School District of Philadelphia, and we've received about $3.2 million. Our expenditures are in line with the budget, and our total disbursements for the month was $756,000.
Thanks, Mike. Transportation report, Mr. Neville?
Yeah, on 9/18, we had a transportation meeting with Mr. Bradson with the whole department. He got the formally execute them and go over a few things with them. On the following day, Friday the 19th, we had our transportation safety meeting. We have one once a month, and it's basically we go over all the different issues for the department. In the month of September, I did a dry run of 3 of the School District of Philadelphia's runs, and for efficiency at times, and they seem to be pretty much in line with our routes. So that's it.
Okay, thank you. Facilities report, Mr. Powell. Mr. Powell is unable to be here tonight. With that said, if you'll notice out back, there's a large dumpster. We still continue to install the new roof here on the school, and that's moving along according to plan. Technology report, Carl. I didn't mean to put it in the spot. It's on my list. I got to call it.
Okay, technology report. I received 810 laptops from last month's board meeting. I'm distributing them out to teachers, taking those laptops that the teachers had for 4 to 5 years, and refurbishing them into a student laptop card. So there will be 2 laptop cards here, new ones at the high school, which will equal 5 laptop cards. And at the grade school, there will be 2 more, which will add out to 8 laptop cards. So, and I'm still in the process of moving and adding more access points for the building to prepare for all the extra laptops and iPads and everything else that we're going to bring in, just so we have no issues.
Thank you. Home school report.
The grade school home and school report. We had 100% of staff participation for our grade school. Thanks to Joyce Podell for hounding everyone. We really thank you. We still need all our families' full participation. It's only $5 and it goes a long way. We did our Kid Stuff book fundraiser thanks to Joanne, who helped me tremendously getting it to every student. Who we had 106 Kid Stuff books that were sold. And finally, our combined home and school meeting with the high school will be next Tuesday. Please come out and support here at the high school at 7 o'clock. And our book fair is the last week in October. That's it. Thank you.
Thank you.
The spaghetti dinner for the high school is on Thursday, October 30th at 6:30. We're having a lot of fun events. There will be a costume contest for the kids. We're also going to be doing pumpkin decorating. And we have something new this year where a lot of the students in high school are going to be coming out to show their talent. So a lot of the clubs will be here. Robotics will be here demonstrating. The drama club will be here doing a little skit. So it should be a good night. The cost is $10 for adults, $5 for children, and the forms are on the website.
Parent Advisory Council report.
So everyone on the previous council actually reran, and they ran those except for one member who didn't run again. So Joanne is actually taking her place. We have not gotten any requests or reports on anything, so that's good. Everyone seems to be happy about things. Ms. Schmidt reported that they're just working on internal policy, regional school, and the comprehensive plan. She also reported that they were able to get the pool reduced, which JCC, so that program can continue. The high school is having an open house in early November, and they're scheduling an 8th grade visitation day for the 8th graders at PAX to come over. I think that's about it, actually. And they also reported that the lottery is now online, so you can go online to sign up for the lottery.
Thank you, Sue. At this time, before I jump fully into the agenda, there's one thing we missed, and I'm going to ask Ernie to address the search for a permanent CEO. At this time, he's assisted the board in that search, and we wanted to give everybody an update on that process as it stands now.
Thank you, John. The posting has gone out, and to date we have about 35 applications. Closing date is October 31st. Normally what happens in the process is a lot of people hold off and submit their applications at the last minute. That's a normal routine, so I expect a lot more applications after that. After the 31st, we have a closing date of the 31st when applications have to be in. There is a screening committee. The screening committee is comprised of representatives from the elementary school and the high school, administration as teachers, as well as parents from both schools and members of the board. The screening committee will review and do a paper process review of those applications. From there, narrow down and select applications or potential candidates to the board, at which point then the board will begin the interview process. I have also prepared questions that we could use for the interview process. Now, the application process includes an essay component as well as a lengthy application that they have to complete. Part of that process also includes samples, redacting, of course, people's names, examples of evaluations that they have done in the role of a supervisor, because it is a supervisory position. Just to give you an idea of the depth in which we are looking at candidates. When the board is ready to meet with those applicants, then we'll decide the format and the style in which we want to have that interview process take place. But we're, according to the timeline, right on target, okay, with the idea that the process should be somewhat finished by December, with the idea that once a candidate has been selected, then the board has to negotiate with the potential candidate to see whether they'll come on board, okay? That's normal process for any kind of CEO or school superintendent position. At that point, then the determination is made when they can start. It all depends on if they have to be held to an existing job notice for their termination at the other site, or if they're in a situation where they can be released early, will depend on when they can start. Okay. Thank you. Questions?
Are there any questions on that process? I do want to state that Ernie put out some information requesting the assistance of the school community as part of the screening committee. We got a really great response from people that wanted to be involved in the process and wanted to help us move forward into the future.
I have a question.
On the process?
Yeah. John Santabor, can you start the interview process before the deadline? So, because you got 35 applicants.
No,
it seems like a lot.
That would be unfair to those who may be holding off because we submitted publicly that the closing date was the 31st. So if we're already starting that process when people haven't committed it, that messes up on the integrity of the process. The process was outlined, the timeline included the idea that the interview wouldn't take place until after the 31st. We want to do our due diligence, and we don't want to start looking at people, you see, before we have all the candidates.
I mean, it's a lot of interviews to do.
Well, we're not going to interview everybody, we'll do a paper screening first.
Right.
There'll be a paper screening first.
Okay.
And what happens is that, for example, the first group of candidates, the board may say, these are great candidates. You know, we can make a selection from there. We had to narrow it down somehow. If, in fact, the board may say, we don't like any of those candidates, it's like, no, like we go back and look at the other paper applications that were put in place. Or we can repost the position. So there's always different options you can take. What's extremely important is that because of the position, okay, your CEO, because of the salary benefits, the working conditions, all those things considered, We want to ensure, because it's the head honcho for the organization, that the integrity of the process be maintained. That's why, in the application, there's no contact between a candidate and any board members. You don't want to mess up the idea that hey, somebody's, talking or hey, get me in, so on and so forth. And I do the same thing with the screening process. You see, so that the candidates don't know who members of the screening committee are, because we don't want any behind-the-scenes situations going on. That's to ensure the integrity of the process. I understand, I appreciate what you're saying about hey, starting it sooner and so on and so
I mean,
forth.
it could drag on.
No. What happens is that we'll do our due diligence to narrow down from the paper process, because you have some candidates that they're not good candidates.
Right.
So you'll be able to eliminate those right away. So the number 35 on the surface may look really good, okay? And I'm not saying it's not, but don't be deceived just because it's 35. I should hope, depending on the times, that we get about 50 applications.
Where do we get our candidates from?
We kept it somewhat in the area, region, so we didn't do a national search. I'd asked the board that, do we want to go out that far, and like that? No, so it's all basically right in the metropolitan area.
Okay.
But it's a cross-section. You get everybody, doctoral candidates, people who have their doctorates, public school administrators, president serving, and other charter school people.
Okay.
Thank you. I'll entertain a resolution adopting the agenda. Motion by Boyle, seconded by Doris Nielsen.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Ayes have it. Resolution to adopt the meeting minutes from September 18th, 2014. I'll make the motion. Brody, second it? By Dysler.
All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed?
Ayes have it. Resolution for personnel actions. Resolution 1415, October 16-1, resolution authorizing the Philadelphia Academy Charter School Board of Trustees to approve charter school personnel actions. The first one of these is a rescission of last month's action. There was a resignation of Christine Capriati, the teacher, to take another position, and Brian Deck, who is a high school teacher, will now go from a full-time teacher to a part-time teacher and a part-time coordinator at the present salary plus $5,000 stipend, and that will be to assist Mrs. Adams in the administration and the functioning of the special education department.
Can I ask a couple questions?
Sure.
Is this job, it's after school work or it's during the day? After work, I'm sorry,
I can answer, it's during the school day.
Okay. I guess, why pay extra money for time available during the school day? To me, the stipend is for after school, not for during the school day.
There are many jobs at the school where there are other lead teacher positions where teachers are getting stipends. It's not my place to make policy. My understanding of the policy is that at the high school level, the lead teachers were making additional stipends, and so was the coordinator was going to make an additional stipend. To me, it would be the same thing if you were to increase his salary, but it's additional responsibilities. It's two different kinds of positions, and in my opinion, there needs to be some compensation for that additional responsibility.
Okay.
I don't really care how it's done in terms of stipend or, but when you're doing two different positions, I think they should be paid for.
Also, the leadership team was advised by Mr. Radstrom that for a stipend, that would be because those positions would be annually evaluated and then would be reposted each year. So rather than amending the salary, instead being a stipend that if the school were to move to a different candidate, that the stipend would travel with the position, not with the employee.
And if I can jump in and put a little bit of historical context on this. Last spring, we had an incident with some troublesome developments within the special ed community at the high school. At that time, we needed to make a change with the special ed director at the high school level. The board was very happy to find that Mrs. Adams would step in and assume the director role from K to 12. As we all know, she's a family member, as we saw tonight. She's a phenomenal member of our staff, and she's provided great leadership in that area in the K to 12. And with that, the board realized back in the spring that with the increased responsibilities of her job, taking on 2 separate jobs, she would need support from other special education folks in both the high school and the grade school as part of this process.
But I have one follow-up question. This person is also the special ed, was it the coordinator that you got the stipend for last board we approved?
He's moving from that position to the coordinator position. He will not receive that stipend plus the coordinator stipend. That will be, instead of receiving the leadership stipend, he'll receive the coordinator stipend.
What do you guys, what's the difference between a coordinator and a leader?
Oh.
I mean, first, so is the leader position still going to remain, or is that done away with?
Yes, that's going to.
Okay, then what is the difference?
The difference is the leader acts as a liaison between the staff and the administration in terms of correspondence, in terms of participation in leadership meetings. A coordinator goes to IEP meetings, acts as an LEA representative, reviews the legal documents that are IEPs and evaluation reports, reviews the evaluation reports prior to sending out permissions to reevaluate to see what services are needed, if we need to do additional. And he does all of that in conjunction with me. I review the things as well, but he spends his time mostly working on learning support students. I work on students who are in need of life skills, transition programs. I'm putting a lot of time into the transition program. So he's doing that. He's attending IEPs for students who are in need of learning support and speech therapy. He's also providing some support to the teachers in terms of their actual programming, as opposed to what a leader would do, which would just be a person who would say, teachers would tell him, I'm going to be out this day, and he talks to me about, filling that role for the day. So it's more of a communication position versus somebody who's actually working with legal documents and teachers, and that's why it's such an increased responsibility.
Thank you.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
I'll make a motion. Motion by McGrody,
I'll second.
second by Gleiser.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed?
Guys have it. Resolution for the first reading of the job description for teacher, special education teacher, behavior management specialist, team leader, and instructional assistant. It's important that we have job procedures and descriptions for the individuals that are working with PACs. I'm not going to belabor the point. There's many pages of job descriptions there. And this is the first reading of that. We want to publicly put it out there that this is what these individuals, what their job descriptions and their duties here are here at PACs. I'll make the motion. Second it. I'll second.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed?
The ayes have it. Resolution for the first reading of the procedures and protocols for the lottery system implementation. As we all know, everybody wants to go to a charter school. Everybody wants to go to this particular charter school. And we wanted to make sure that the lottery system is done in an ethical manner and a fair manner and consistent with state law and consistent with SRC. And the protocols are outlined under this resolution. Do I have a motion? Second. Sullivan?
All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed?
Ayes have it. Resolution for the second reading of the job description for the CEO. This was first read last month. Ernie has spoke about this job description, the CEO search, since he came on board with us July, August, September, and October, and that's what this resolution concerns. And I think I skipped one, but I'll go back to that. Okay, thanks. Resolution for the second reading of the job description for CEO. Do I have a motion?
I'll make the motion.
Seconded by Clay.
All those in favor? Aye. Opposed?
The ayes have it. Go back to number 11, a resolution to contract for professional products and services, Compass learning assessments. Somebody may, I don't know, Mrs. Adams or Ronnie, could better describe this.
I can describe it.
Oh,
The high school is in need of an online learning platform specifically designed to address Keystone state testing as well as skill deficiencies that children have. In the past, we've used Foresight, we've used Acuity. Last year, with the purchase of Acuity, we were able to get that at a discounted rate at the school district of Philadelphia because of a bundling where they were offering the product to the school district, and we were able to piggyback on that. They are no longer offering that to the school district of Philadelphia, and we were not fully satisfied with Acuity, so we did a great amount of research, and Compass Learning is unique in that all high schools and grade schools as well that offer Keystone testing are mandated to have a local assessment. So technically, children with the class of 2017 have to be proficient in the 3 areas of the Keystone testing in order to graduate from high school in the state of Pennsylvania. Compass Learning is an approved provider of a local assessment with the state of Pennsylvania. So it's really twofold. Number one, we are covering our local assessment mandate that we have to do through the state of Pennsylvania. And the second thing is, as I've addressed in meetings prior, we're really looking at skill deficiencies in our students, particularly through our Power Hour, and this Compass Learning is designed to be like our guiding tool to help kids. They go in, they take a formative assessment, then the Compass Learning actually will specifically work with each student and create a learning pathway. And then they take benchmark assessments, and the goal is to lead to proficiency on the Keystone exam.
Thank you. I'll make the motion. Do I have a second? Second by McClay.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed?
Resolution for the second reading of the policy on facility usage. It was found that we lacked a specific and clear policy on the usage of our gym, our school, and our facilities, both for our stakeholders here and other community members who may use it. So that was read out last month, and that will be a second reading of that. The particulars of that are contained in the packet of resolutions. Do I have a motion? Motion by McClay, seconded by... Okay, I'll do it. Okay, bye. Thank you.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed?
Ayes have it. New business? Anything under new business?
Hi, I'm John Santabor. Except for the table and the teachers 3% that you guys have put off, have you guys basically have a detailed list of cuts that are to be finalized for the budget?
We have a detailed list of specific areas that we're looking at to be cut. We were somewhat prepared to move forward with it tonight, but the numbers just didn't jive and add up, and we don't want to make cuts in a vacuum. If the cuts need to be made, we wanted to make sure that they were precise. We had a complete understanding of what was going on with particular cuts. The numbers that we're looking at just didn't add up. And I didn't know if anybody, I'm not on the finance committee, but the board does have a finance committee. I don't know if anybody on the finance committee wanted to add or subtract from what I just said.
We pretty much looked at every area of the school, transportation, food services. Obviously, we don't want to touch the classrooms, but support staff, anything that's not state mandated is pretty much on the table.
Okay. What about reserves? What's the thought on the reserves? Are we going to hit the reserves?
We will definitely hit the reserves for over $2 million if we don't make cuts.
Okay.
And is there a timeline on that? I don't know if that's imminently now or down the road. I don't know.
No, that's this year.
Okay.
This year.
Yeah, we do have some, I think it was 8 or 9 million in reserves. So we do have a little bit of a buffer, but there are some very hard decisions that need to be made.
Just if we make no cuts now, in 2016, we need to borrow money to operate the school.
Anything else on their new business?
I just have a question. I don't know if this was addressed before, but tonight Palmer Charter is cutting 250 children and maybe 300 next month. Is there any chance that we would have to do something like that since you have like 1,100?
No, I don't believe that. I don't believe, I am vaguely familiar with the Palmer Charter situation. Their situation is that their charter was basically suspended by the SRC. They basically lost their charter. And from my understanding, not that I'm an expert in this, my understanding is that they were so far over their allotted enrollment that they should not have had those students in there. We are not in that position.
Their charter was for 675 people, and they had 1,275 students. So that's why they have to remove 600 students. They exceeded their charter.
Well, how many are we allowed?
I think we're 1,200, and we're within, we don't have a problem. Yeah, and as long as this board's sitting here, there's nothing's happening to our students. Our students, that's a completely different situation in which they basically lost their right, for lack of a better term, to operate as a charter school. We are nowhere near that position, and I don't believe this was a financial situation. I think it was more of a mismanagement situation.
I mean, essentially, if we lost students, we would lose the funding for those students as well. So we're getting funded pretty much for every student. There's a handful I think we're over.
Okay, thanks.
Anything else under new business? Before I ask for a motion to adjourn, once again. Oh, I'm sorry. There's an additional resolution. The Board of Trustees, upon the recommendation of the Chief Executive Officer, enters into an agreement of services with the Bucks County Intermediate Unit number 22 for delivery of C-print captioning services to assist students with identified IEPs requiring those related services. The cost of that, we have to renew this every year, is $63,470. I'll make the motion on that.
I'll second.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed?
Before I move for adjournment, once again, congratulations to our scholars and to our charter member employees. Thank you very much for your dedication and your service, and congratulations.
The policy committee met once, and the only change we're looking at, which will be a reading into the next board meeting, is that we are going to stagger the parent or the parents that come onto the board. We're going to stagger them rather than what happened a year ago. The three of us all came on at the same time. So we're going to stagger those terms, and that's going to be read into the next meeting.
That's it. Do I have a motion to adjourn? Motion. By everybody. Second? By everybody.
Yeah, about that.